So we're going to start with the head, and the head's going to go up in our upper right corner of the paper. So I'm just going to overlap this and zoom in so we can see a little better here. There we go. So I'm going to start with this nostril right here, which looks a little bit like a raindrop if we made the whole shape. But I'm not going to make the entire shape. I'm just going to go for part of it, part of a raindrop. And the other one is another really skinny raindrop, but we can see it's a little bit lower than this one. If I drew straight lines across, you can see, oh, that one's lower. So you can do the same thing on your paper if you like. You can make very, very light straight lines so that you know the other nostril is going to be lower and a skinnier raindrop shape. Of course, let me know if I'm going too fast. You can either use your reactions at the bottom of your screen. There'll be a little happy face that says reactions. And I think there's a too fast, too slow. Oh no, not on mine. Maybe because I'm the teacher. But there should be a too fast, too slow button. Or else you can just use the raise your hand and then I'll know that meant slow down. After you've got your nostrils, you can see this line that doesn't touch, but just curves right around on that side. Oops, I think mine's a little too far away. Where's my eraser? Get a little bit closer. And after that, we're going to make the mouth, which is almost kind of a squarish shape right down here. And we only need the bottom and the side. How big do you make it? Well, you can see that this nostril ends or has the bottom part of the square in it. So if I go straight down from that nostril, that's where the flat part is going to end. And then from there, it'll go up into the mouth. And very unusual for a horse, but I guess not for one made of ice, is there's no chin really. There's just this very, very skinny lower lip. So skinny and small. And you can see it goes up until we get to about the same height as the nostril. And I'll pause right there so that you can double check that everything's lining up. You've got one nostril lower than the other. You've got the side of the mouth about as tall as the nostril. You've got the flat part of the mouth that's in between the two nostrils. Oh, there's Callista. Let's let Callista in. You can double check with the reference drawing and take a look and say, oh, is my nostril too skinny compared to that one? Is it too thick compared to that one? You do your best just to find the differences and then change it to make it a little bit more similar. Hi, Callista.
Hi. We forgot the time, so we're a bit late.
It's okay. We started out with this little raindrop shape. But we're going to draw the whole body today, so make sure you put it kind of high up on your paper because we got to fit in the whole body. We just started with the nose shapes and then added those mouth lines. Ooh, focus, focus. There we go. Next, we're going to take a look at this skinny shape on the side here. Almost looks like a carrot maybe, with a very slender side and a thicker side. So as I go up from this nose, up, 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 I'm going to make that carrot shape. You want to keep looking, compare. Does mine look like that? Not really. I think I have to curve the top more. That looks a little bit better. After we put in the eye, we'll probably shape it a little bit. But for now, try to get this little shape in there right above the nose. Oh, I just noticed something else. Look how far out this bumps from this tip of the carrot. This tip of the carrot only goes to the inside of the nose. On mine, it does not. We want to keep looking for those clues so that we know how to fix our drawing and make it look more like the ones we're seeing. Got to go from the inside of the nose and make that carrot shape. Oh, looks so much better now that I fixed that. Then we're going to go ahead and stick in the eye, which is a little almond shape right in there. Or almond, depending on how you say it. My favorite nut. And then I'll adjust this line one more time because I can see in this one it curves ever so slightly to show that there's a cheek right there instead of being just straight up and down. I'm just going to gradually curve this one. Still, I want it to be on the inside of the nostril there. It's just going to curve a little bit. Make sure the eyebrow goes all the way over the eye. Or what would be the eyebrow. Horses don't really have eyebrows, I don't think. And kind of the same thing on this side. If this line were to keep going down, it would kind of go on the inside of the nose right there. So we want to start somewhere here by the nostril. Make it get skinny and then curve for what would be the other eyebrow. And really the eyebrow, this could almost be the same shape right here. This is kind of the shape we're going for. If I go from the nostril, I'll go up into a curve, into a little bit of a rounded square there for the jaw. This funny little turn right there. I'm going to pause right there a moment because I know that's kind of a funny shape. A little difficult to draw. I think I made my mouth a little too wide, so I'm going to fix that. That's what erasers are for. Anytime you see something that's looking a little funny, just take out your eraser and fix it up a little bit. For the other eye, if I drew a straight line across, you can see that this eye is lower and this one is higher. So when I look at my drawing, I'm going to look at the top of this eye, and that's going to tell me where the bottom of that eye is. And then to add those ears on top, we're going to start with this ear. I'm going to look for some clues. Where do I put this ear? We can see that it's right above that nostril. We can see that this line for the jaw kind of flows right into that ear. It almost makes this big triangle. So I can use those clues to help myself out on this drawing here. If I go straight up from the nose, very lightly. If I go right from the jaw and go up into kind of a triangle, then I know that's where my ear is probably going to be. You can see he doesn't have much forehead. Very narrow forehead, so his ear will be very close to his eye when compared to a real live horse. You've got a flatter line on one side, curvier line on the other side. And look how close this other ear is. Only a tiny little white space in between. And for the mane, we're just going to do this shape right here, which looks like a big, curving, really skinny shape. You can see that it touches that eyebrow right there. So I'm just going to curve and touch that eyebrow. Then it'll curve out and come very close to the nose, but not touching. So I know it's going to be somewhere about here. And then the top line is very round, almost like a circle. Get my lines closer together until it goes into a nice point. And let's take a look at where the neck connects into the head. It doesn't come out of the chin where we might think it comes out. It's coming out off to the side right here. So I'm going to do that on my drawing too, to start out from the side of the mouth, the muzzle. Make a big curve. I don't know how long the neck is going to be yet. I'm just going to take my best guess. We can always adjust it later. And then the other one is going to connect right up with that line that we made for the hair. You can almost see how it connects right behind his ear. But check that the neck is narrow at the top, wide at the bottom. So my lines up here are closer and my lines down here farther away. Then we can add this really skinny shape that shows the mane flopping over to the other side. And if you want to put a couple of curved lines, that'll show it curving to the other side. And imagine if you were to keep going with this neckline, look how it connects right up into this curve of the body. So I'm going to pretend this neckline keeps going and going and going. And it makes this big curve all the way around. So lightly, because we're going to erase some of this later. On this side of the neck, we can see the neckline, and then there's this little bit of overlap where the line starts way up here and comes down into the shoulder. So if here's my neckline right here, I can't start from here. I have to go up a little bit to make that shoulder. A little bit blockier to show the muscles, the strength and power. And on the bottom of the shape, you can see there's two lines, one that goes up and it goes and follows that shape that we were looking at before. The other one goes flat across. So on the bottom of my shape here that I've lightly sketched out, I'm going to have one go flat and one go up, as if these two were going to connect. I'm not going to draw the whole thing, only part of it. Erase the rest. And then we'll start drawing the legs. The hardest part of the legs is always how long are they supposed to be? So what I'm going to do is take my pencil and use it like a measuring tool. I'm going to put the point right, whoops, right at the top there where the leg, was that too obscure? Let's put it right down here where the leg is connecting to the body. And I go up and pinch it right at the top of the head, and then I'm just going to scoot my pencil down and see that, oh, the legs are just a little bit shorter than that. So if I do the same thing on my drawing, oh, my pencil's not long enough. If you have a ruler handy, you can use a ruler too, just ignore the numbers. Sorry. All right, if I set my ruler right where the legs begin, and I hold my finger right at the top of the head, I'm just going to move that whole thing down and see that the legs are going to be about there. Whoops, right at the bottom of my paper. Or if you don't want to measure, just know that horses look great with long legs. So don't worry if you make the legs too long. They look still very graceful and elegant. Whereas if you make them shorter and stubbier, they look more like a little pony, which is not bad. But if you're trying to make a really big, graceful, pretty horse, that kind of doesn't work with pony legs. All right, so before we get into these legs, let's take a look at the shapes that we're dealing with. Brighten that up so you can see it. So here's the leg. We've got this first shape that's kind of a block, right? These are just straight lines. Then we're going to have a little angle. Then we're going to have more straight lines. And then we're going to deal with the hoof. So let's try that out. We're going to make this little trapezoid shape first. So the inside is fairly straight. And this one comes in at an angle. There's your first two lines. Make sure they're a little bit closer together down here so they're narrow, and then we've got it wide where it's connecting into the body. If it just goes straight up and down like that, it looks fake. It looks like a toy. Next section, the back is going to have this little bit of a point, almost like a check mark with a short line and then a long line. Short line, longer line. The other side's just going to be a very, very subtle curve. Not a big curve, not a big C curve, not like that. It'll look like his knee is swollen. So unless that's part of the story of your drawing, let's not do it that much. Let's just do a little bit of a curve. Then what happens? We're going to get skinnier to the smallest part of this horse's leg. So we're going to get our lines coming closer together. And after we come down here, what happens? Whoosh, we go out that way, diagonal. I'm just going to make a nice long line. I don't know how big the hoof is going to be yet. Let's zoom in so we can see the details of the other side. This part looks just like a little square is in here. So on this side of my drawing, whoops, let's get it on camera. Just going to do it like I'm drawing a square and then stopped. And what does the next part look like? Big curve one way, tiny, 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 tiny curve the other way. So here I go, big curve, super tiny, so small, almost nothing, tiny, tiny curve. Then what? You've just got a tiny little bit of a straight line right there. Now, whatever you do, don't do this. Don't just go from one line to the other line, because that'll look like his foot got chopped off. Instead, we want to make this one round. I'm going to ignore that line. I'm just going to make the bottom round. Then I'll come back and I'll make this line longer so they touch. Or you might have the opposite problem. Maybe your line is way down here. I don't want to just go line to line and connect it up. That's called slipper hoof. That's not good for horses. So pay attention to this curve the most. This is the most important curve right here at the bottom. And then you can just adjust your sideline so that everything connects up nice and nice. Wonderful. While we have all of those shapes of the hoof in our brain, we're going to go back to this leg instead of doing the other front leg, just because it'll be easier since we have all these things in our mind. But we do need to add on a little bit more body. So on our drawing here, let's go ahead and make the rest of the body right there. You can see there's a little curve and a big curve. And for right now, we're just going to make it one big shape. There's our one-legged horse so far. And before we start drawing, I'm going to look for some clues. Like for one, even though this leg is down here on the paper, this one is much higher. It lines up right with that little square piece. So I know that on my drawing, oops, let me let Mickey in. If I go from my square part of the leg as a guideline, that's where the bottom of this hoof is going to be. I'm also going to look at the kinds of lines for the top part of the leg. We've got two big curves. Then what's going to happen? Little angle. Then what's going to happen? Straight curve. So this looks actually easier than the front leg to me. So let's go ahead and start with these top two curves. Which one's curvier? You don't have to answer me, but in your mind, look at them. A or B, which one's curvier? Once you have the answer in your mind, you can draw it. At the end of this line, we come to that little angle, that little bump. And then again in your mind, A or B, which one's straight, which one's curvy? You don't have to answer me, but get it in your mind. So once it's in your mind, you can draw it. One of them's straight, one of them's curved. Then we'll get back down to our hoof. We did this once already, so you might remember it. We've got that little angle right there, like a little square or part of a square. Then we did a curve. And another teeny tiny, almost nothing curve. A little bit of a straight line. And I'm going to pause right here because I know the hooves are hard and they might take some erasing and drawing again and erasing and drawing again. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this leg just so you can compare this one with your drawing. While you're doing that, I'm going to let the cat out of the bedroom. Hurry up, hurry up. Okay, let's go ahead and add this other back leg. But first, let's look for some clues. We've got the hooves that are pretty much the same length or the same level on our paper. This bump here and this bump here are pretty much on the same level, so that's nice. We have the curve of the rump that's going to go right into the leg, so we've got a lot of it already set up for us. So on mine, I'm already noticing that the curve of my horse's back is a little bit different from this one, so I'm going to fix that first. You can see this one's almost square or angular. So I'm going to square that off a little more this time. And I don't think he has quite that big of a rump. I'm just going to fix that up a little bit. Okay. So like I was saying, this rump flows right into the leg. So I can just continue that line down. Right into what will be my leg. Or not my leg, this horse's leg, Nokk's leg. See if I can zoom in some more so we can see what's going on. Then I'll have this part that gets closer to the knee. So two lines coming together. And then where do I put this little angle? I just look over to where the angle was on my other leg over here. That means it'll be at the same spot this one is. Ooh, here's a new line. You've got one that goes straight down, but then it has a little angle. And how do I know where to put this little square part of the hoof? It's pretty much at the same place as the other one was. So if I go from the little squarish part on this hoof and make myself a guideline very lightly, I know that's where the other angle is going to happen. I'm getting to the skinny part of the leg, so make sure that these two lines are closer together and these lines are farther apart. This hoof must be pointed towards us because it doesn't have quite as many bumps on the back as the other one. Just has that one big bump, and that's pretty much it. And then this part, what is this going to do? Go forward a little bit. After you finish your second hoof, first thing you want to do is take a look at both of them, and do they look about the same size, or is one kind of big and one kind of small? If they look like different sizes, go ahead and take your eraser and just make one a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger. You want to keep the one you like and then change the one you don't like as much. If your legs look too thick, you can just move your lines in, make them thinner. You actually have the top part of this leg going right up into the body. So I can bring this one longer, right up into the body there. Get rid of all that stuff. And let's take a look at what's going on with this horse's tummy. It's not the same all the way across. We've got a lift as it goes to the back, a big curve as it goes to the back. So on mine right now, he's really chubby, hasn't had any exercise in a while. I'm going to bring that line up and do a curve. Top of the leg is looking a little skinny. Let's make that strong. You might have to adjust the lines of this back leg so that they connect back into the body. Clean up with your eraser. Remember, it's okay that these are higher on the paper. This one's lower on the paper. And we have one more leg to do. Whew. Let's look for some clues. Where do we know to draw this little point? Oh, hey, it kind of lines up with that one. And where are we going to draw this weird little bump? Oh, it kind of lines up with that one. So let's go ahead and start right here with this line that touches these lines, because we've already drawn these lines. I've got mine right here. So I'm going to draw one little curve. That's that one right there. And then this long line that goes down, that's pretty much straight. That's a one shot all the way from the top down to the hoof. But what's the important part? It can't go straight up and down. If it goes straight up and down, we won't get it narrower as it goes down to the hoof. So we need that line to be tilted just a little bit that way so that it starts getting narrower as it goes down. On the other side, we're going to have that bump right where the other bump in this leg was. So I can just go right from over there, right over to here, and say there's a tiny little elbow thingy joint. The part where the horse's legs bend, right there. You can see it's right in line with the other one. And as it goes back up into the body, it's going to get farther away from this line. It's going to get thicker as it goes right into the body. Not only does it go into the body, we've also got this line right here to show some of those powerful shoulder muscles. So I've got a nice big curving line that goes right behind the leg there. So with this next line, what's the goal? What do we need it to happen? Wider up here, narrower down here. So it's going to get smaller, shrink. How do we do that? Lines get closer together. So I'm not going to do this. See how they're even, even, even? Not going to do that. I want it to get narrow and closer together. Usually we've been putting a little square bump on all of these hooves, but this one is a little bit different. It just has two little curves, a little bit like parentheses. I'm going to zoom in closer so you can take a look. As soon as it focuses, sometimes I have to get my pencil in here so it can focus. There we go. There's one curve there, one curve there. And when you draw this hoof, one thing I want you to pay attention to, look at how this one is higher on the paper and this one is lower on the paper. This is very, very important. If you draw his hoof right here and it's even with this one, it looks like this leg got chopped off and shorter. When things are closer to us, they're lower on the paper. So if this hoof is the closest hoof to us, it has to be the lowest one on the paper. That's okay, Nama. I run out of paper all the time. Sometimes I just stick another piece of paper underneath and finish my drawing, but that's fine if it goes right off the paper. I'm going to put in this last hoof. I'm going to make sure it's the lowest one on the paper. Phew, we did it. All 4 legs. Horses are hard. Give yourself a pat on the back. You did a good job. Now we get to add the fun part, the tail and the mane. All the flowing, beautiful elegance of this horse. So for the mane, we have 2 lines that are coming right in between the legs. So right in between the legs here, I'm going to do 1 curve and then overlap, meaning I'm not going to start from here. I'm going to start way back up here again and go down. Then we have this line. Let's find a clue. It's about the same level as the leg there, and it goes right down into that leg. So if I do the same on my paper, I go over from that leg line, start out far away, and then go in real close. And we're going to have another piece. It's very close, right? You can see these 2 lines very close together, but it's going to go all the way up by the neck area. So I'm going to start way down here, make my little piece flying off. Follow it back up, almost up to the head. And then we started with this piece on the top. Let's keep that line going all the way down below the horse's knees. So we already started this one up here. I can bring it back this way, go all the way back down. It's still shorter than the others, isn't it? So we don't want to go all the way down to the same level, but we're going to go down to about there. And then again, we're going to go down, follow it all the way down. One trick for making these big long lines is to hold your pencil farther away from the tip. Then if you just wiggle your fingers, you get these great big curves, big smooth curves. But if I try to do it when I've got my pencil very close to my fingertips, then I can't make a very big curve. They're just short. So try to stick your pencil way out and you can make these bigger curves just by wiggling your fingers. And lastly, the tail. I think I have the same problem, Name. I'm running out of paper. So just to show you guys, I'm going to bring another piece of paper out here. Let's take a look for some clues. What are we trying to draw? Well, one thing I've noticed is that his rump is still kind of chubby. I'm gonna shave some off there. If only losing weight was easy like this in real life. There we go. So we're looking at the tail. What do we see? What kind of lines do we see? I see one that goes right into the back leg and makes this little shape right here that's almost like, what's that almost like? It's like a triangle on that side and a little trapezoid on the other side. But anyway, starts high on the back of the leg and then goes down and into the upper part of the leg there. All right, so we've got this curve. And if we pretended that we had x-ray vision and we could see this line going all the way through the leg, it would connect right up and go down into the hoof right there. Then what happens to this line? We have a big curve and then it gets kind of flat at the end. So I'm going to keep going in this big curve, a little bit flat, where it's hitting the ground and resting. And then again, I'm going to show you what not to do. What we don't want to do is make a stripe. I don't want this to be even all the way down. When I'm looking at my picture, I can see that it's wide right here and it's really narrow up here. So when I do my drawing, I want to make sure that my lines get farther apart as I go down so that this section gets wider. And then what happens down here? Thick. This line doesn't even touch the leg. So actually I have to change mine a little bit. This isn't even touching the leg over here. And then we get skinny, skinny, skinny at the end, a little point. And there's a couple of important overlap lines. You can see that this line here goes over. What that tells us is that this part of the hair is close, and then this part of the hair is going far away. So when I do this line on this curve, I'm going to go over, overlap. You might spot another one right here. Crosses into the shape, makes that overlap. Whew, and we have 2 minutes to spare. We're going to go around and see everybody's horses. Again, horses are the hardest animal to draw ever. So I know you guys all did a good job by just attempting to draw Elsa's horse. This is Nokk, if you want to put his name on there. Anybody who's ready, just hold it up and I will spotlight your video for everyone. Oh, it looks like Nema's ready. I'm going to spotlight for everybody. Oh, hold it still, hold it still. Oh, I see a beautiful horse face. Lovely.
Oh,
I like that
yeah.
mane too.
The face is beautiful. Oh no, that's your face. The horse looks good too.
The horse looks good too. Nice job, Nema. And then who else is ready to show? Kristen. I'm going to spotlight Kristen. Oh, looks like you had to use a little bit of your other page too, just like I did.
Yes, yes, the tail, too big. But look at those long
Look at those
legs.
long legs. It looks like Callista's ready. Let's see what Callista's Nokk looks like. Ooh, more nice long legs.
Oh, look at that mane.
Finish the hair yet. I was going to do the hair, but I didn't have enough time.
Okay,
Yours is
no
gonna go
problem.
off the edge like ours all are, so perfect.
Ooh, more long legs.
Oh,
long,
excellent,
long
excellent.
manes. Lovely.
Miss Betsy,
Yes.
since my horse is a little bit cut off, I didn't have to finish one of the legs. So since I didn't have to finish one of the legs, I also drew a dragon.
Whoa, let's see that one too.
Oh my goodness, if you
And a
put him in a teacup. Oh, but he's got a volcano. That's cool. Wings, horns, he's got it all.
Love it. I like that you were able to draw something even though you couldn't draw your horse legs. And then Frank's. Let's see Frank's.
Had to go with another piece of paper.
Yep, I know.
Muffin.
I got to do a better job of helping you guys keep it on the paper, but I didn't even keep it on my papers.
Oh, and Frank's got feet off the bottom and
Yep, and everything.
excellent.
Well, good job, everybody. I'll see you back here next week. We're going to do a easier one, I believe. Let me double check who we're doing next week.
Who are we doing? Who are we doing? I love the horse.
Oh, I think it's the little salamander guy. I think
Oh,
it's this
goody,
one.
he's fun.
So he's going to be a lot easier to draw next week. So I will see you guys next Friday.
Miss
He
Betsy,
has flames though.
Yes.
is that the same one that we did last week? Like the one that Elsa was holding?
Yes, that's the same little lizard.
But look at those flames. Ouch.
I know, those flames are going to be nice, huh? Okay. Thank you guys for drawing with me. I'll see you next time.
See ya.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.